Hello, ladies and gents. Today I have to talk about something that I've seen a lot of, and probably been guilty of in the past. It's gonna be rambly and disorganized, as all my best work is, so feel free to put this on in the background while you play Kingdom Come or something. Honestly, it's part of the motivation I had to shift my content away from response videos and shitty articles written by inane ideologues, and towards distinct observational or entertainment-oriented content. That said, even beyond this platform, the behavior continues and is normalized. I suppose it is normal, really. Distinctly human. It's a behavior that was identified and concentrated into an idea proposed by George Orwell. 2 Minutes of Hate. For those unfamiliar, briefly and off the top of my head, the practice of 2 minutes of hate was a compulsory 2-minute propaganda video featuring the enemy of the state, which was aired every day for the purpose of directing and venting all of the fear, anger, frustration, and powerlessness felt by the proles away from the state and those in power. Today, it's not mandated by the state, but is instead expected on social media for in-group PowerPoints and some strange pretend, well, it was pretend, or it was supposed to be pretend until people started taking it seriously, power and clout. I'm going to avoid naming names or even providing examples of this, in reference to different ideological positions, first to avoid further participation in this activity, and to hopefully make both parties realize that this behavior is occurring. The modern equivalent of this behavior is easily witnessed when one steps back to watch the endless rolling waves of outrage crash over and over into the shore, one so quickly and easily forgotten in its importance and level of outrage as soon as the next wave hits. I think we've seen it named and even identified when some of the goofier articles came out a couple years ago about wokeness fatigue or taking a break from your activism to enjoy things. We all know the articles I'm referring to. These articles were humorous to me, but not because they were completely insane or wrong, but because they were the lamentations of a person who had been driven insane by their own behavior while dancing so close to the realization that might have helped them. That perspective has largely been lost online. That we search for outrage, that outrage itself, now, having been industrialized, marketed, and machined, is something endlessly available, in all colors, shapes, sizes, and varieties. This circles back to the 2 minutes of hate in that they are often dissociated, disconnected from each other, and logically inconsistent from one outrage or even one moment to another. They're bound instead only by ideological importance. It's not implemented by the state, but I've come to realize almost nothing directly is, without the will of a significant number of the population, also desiring this implementation. And now we see social media platforms, entertainment services, like Twitch, all change policy and code to meet the desires of this population, and it does make me think that we're not so much far from the stage where the state intervenes. Watching the Russian scare come back, watching people that just a few years ago were against American imperialism call for war against a major nation, instead of perhaps calling for paper ballots or voter IDs or even just something else that was sane and implementable. All because of this outrage mill, all because of this desire to rise to the top of being the person who's the most angry, the most offended, the person who's found the reason to be the most furious. Because this rage is seen as healthy, it's seen as good. It's seen as progress, as clarity, instead of as some clouding force. It can be both, at times, but believing that rage is sometimes correct, thus all rage is directed correctly, this is a sad and dangerous path that we tread down. The ties to the propaganda angle are clear, as often this rage, these moments of hate, are directed in regards to information which is edited, editorialized, or fabricated. Twisted reality raised up as truth, some terrible truth, a truth which cannot stand and must be corrected, and in its place, proper truth enshrined. This rage factory fuels clicks and cash in YouTube videos and Twitter content creators alike. I don't know, or even think, that the authors of these pieces are to blame, nor the editors who greenlight it. We are. because we feed it. Propaganda in this modern day isn't something that needs to be created top-down or intentionally. Propaganda now also spreads faster, and in the veneer of this everyman, some normal, everyday internet person that made good. This is something social media in particular is good for. Spreading propaganda on accident, or for simple in-group good boy points. Utils in game theory, because many of these people aren't operating under some means of making money, or if they are, they're not making much, myself included. Many of them are operating for these utils, this feeling of having accomplished something. Again, I admit my fault in this. I admit the allure of this behavior is strong, but I'm also a self-aware addict. I know that this behavior is bad, and I seek to curtail it, as I have so many of my other poor, socially and mentally damaging behaviors and habits. We have to be more aware that this behavior is becoming more and more normal, and is fueling simultaneously several industries, and these industries are rage vampires. It doesn't matter if your hatred is for someone like Jordan Peterson, or Samantha Bee, or Dan RL. It's probably not warranted. The rage is cyclical, and they fuel each other, and they also allow the real dangers and shifts in society to go largely unnoticed in favor of these emotional flailings at meaningless symbols or figureheads. If I were a more conspiratorial man, I would consider this was the goal, and I'd consider it was successful. These daily moments of hate and rage aren't solving any problems at all. Call-out culture from either side is not going to save anything. It's just going to pull us further down into the base nature of humanity. I personally think laughter is a more powerful tool. That's why Islam attacks cartoonists. That said, I will leave you with my new mantra. We do deserve absolutely anything that we won't stand up and stop. That's it for me, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this little video. And as usual, stay safe, good luck, and goodbye.